Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Everyday English Practice Podcast. I'm Emma.
And I'm Jack. We're really happy you're here with us today.
Yes, whether you're listening in the morning, during your commute, in the afternoon, or even late at night before bed, welcome. We're grateful that you're spending a few minutes learning English with us.
Emma, before we start today's topic, can I ask you something?
Of course. What's up?
How has your day been so far?
Honestly, it's been good. A little busy, but in a nice way. I had a few meetings this morning, then I prepared some notes for today's episode.
That sounds productive. What about you? Pretty similar. I had a long morning as well, but I finally got a really good cup of coffee. And you know what they say, once the coffee kicks in, everything feels possible again.
That is absolutely true. Coffee saves lives.
It really does. Listeners, how about you? How is your day going today? Wherever you are, we hope you're having a good moment right now.
And thank you again for choosing the Everyday English Practice Podcast. Before we jump into today's topic, let's quickly say one thing.
If you enjoy learning English through real conversations like this, please like this episode, subscribe to the Everyday English Practice Podcast, and share it with someone else who is also learning English. Learning together makes the journey easier and much more fun.
All right, Jack, let's talk about today's topic. Today's episode is very important, especially for beginners.
Yes, because today we're talking about something that almost every English learner struggles with: tenses.
Exactly. Simple present, simple past, and simple future.
Many learners say something like this: I know English words, but I don't know when to use which tense.
And because of that confusion, they hesitate. They stop speaking. They start overthinking every sentence. But today, we're going to make things much simpler. In this episode, we'll make tenses clear, practical, and useful.
No grammar pressure, no complicated rules, just understanding and real examples.
And remember, this episode is designed especially for beginners. So if you sometimes feel confused about tenses, that's completely normal. We'll go step by step.
Let's start with the first tense, the simple present tense. This is the tense we use for daily life, daily routines, habits, facts, things that are generally true.
Let's start very gently. Jack, can you tell me something you do every day?
Sure. I wake up early. I drink tea. And I check my phone.
Perfect. Those sentences are all in the simple present tense. I wake up early. I drink tea. I check my phone.
We use the simple present when we talk about things that happen again and again. Daily routines, weekly habits, things that are normal for us.
Let's try a few more examples.
I work in an office. You study English. We live in this city. They play football on weekends.
Very simple. But there's one small thing that sometimes confuses learners.
Yes, when we talk about he, she, or it, something small changes. The verb usually gets an S or ES.
For example, he works, she studies, it rains a lot here.
This tiny S causes a lot of fear for learners, but honestly, it's not scary at all.
And here's something important. Even if you forget the S sometimes, people will still understand you. The goal of language is communication. Perfection comes later.
Now let's talk about when we use the simple present tense. First, we use it for daily routines. For example, I wake up at 7 a.m. I go to work at 9 a.m. I eat lunch at noon.
Second, we use it for habits. I read before bed. I exercise on weekends. I drink coffee every morning.
Third, we use it for general facts. For example, the sun rises in the east. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. The earth moves around the sun. These are facts that are always true.
Now let's talk about something learners ask about very often.
Negative sentences.
Yes, how do we say something in the negative form in simple present?
In most cases, we use do not or does not. For example, I do not like coffee. She does not eat meat. But in natural spoken English, we usually use contractions. I don't like coffee. She doesn't eat meat. These forms sound much more natural in everyday conversations.
Now let's talk about questions in the simple present. Questions are extremely important in real conversations.
To make a question in the simple present, we use do or does at the beginning of the sentence. For example, do you work here? Do they live nearby? Does she study English? Does he drive to work?
Notice something very important. When we use does, the main verb returns to the base form. So we say, does she work here? Not, does she works here? This is a very common mistake.
And that's completely okay. Mistakes are part of learning. Now let's try a small real-life conversation using the simple present tense.
Imagine two people meeting for the first time at work.
Hi, what do you do?
I work in marketing. What about you?
I'm a student. I study English and business.
That's great. How often do you study English?
I study every day for about an hour.
That's a great habit.
Thank you. See how simple and natural that conversation is? Short sentences, clear ideas, real communication.
Now let's give our listeners a small practice idea.
Yes, here's something you can try today. Say 5 sentences about your daily life. For example, I wake up early. I study English. I drink coffee. I go to work. I watch videos at night.
Say them out loud. Don't just think about them. Speaking builds confidence, and the more you practice speaking, the more natural your English will become.
Now that we've talked about the present tense, let's move to the past. Today, we're going to talk about the simple past tense. This tense helps us talk about things that already happened, yesterday, last night, last week, or even 10 years ago. If the action is finished, we usually use the simple past. That's the key idea.
Let's start with a simple question. Jack, what did you do yesterday?
Yesterday, I worked in the morning and relaxed in the evening.
Great example. I worked, I relaxed. Both are in the simple past tense.
For many verbs, making the past tense is very easy. You simply add ed. For example, work becomes worked. Watch becomes watched. Play becomes played. These verbs are called regular verbs.
But English always has a small surprise.
Yes, some verbs don't follow this rule. These are called irregular verbs. For example, go becomes went. Eat becomes ate. See becomes saw. There isn't a simple rule for these. You learn them gradually through practice and listening.
And that's completely normal. The more English you hear, the more familiar these verbs will become.
Now let's talk about when we use the simple past tense. First, we use it for actions that happened at a specific time in the past. For example, I woke up at 7 a.m. yesterday.
Second, we use it for actions that are completely finished. I watched a movie last night.
Third, we use it for a series of past actions. For example, I woke up, took a shower, and left the house. See how the past tense helps us tell stories? And storytelling is a very important skill in English.
Now let's talk about negative sentences in the simple past tense.
To make a negative sentence, we usually use did not. For example, I did not go to work yesterday. But in natural spoken English, we usually say, I didn't go to work yesterday. And here's something very interesting. After did not or didn't, the verb returns to the base form. So we say, I didn't eat breakfast, not I didn't ate breakfast.
This is one of the most common mistakes learners make, but with practice, it becomes natural.
Now let's talk about questions in the simple past tense. To ask questions, we place did at the beginning. For example, did you sleep well? Did she call you? Did they finish the project? Again, the main verb stays in the base form, not the past form.
Now, let's imagine a small conversation between two friends.
Hey, how was your weekend?
It was great. I visited my family.
Nice. Did you travel far?
No, I stayed in the city.
See how simple that conversation is? Past tense helps us talk about experiences, memories, stories, and things that already happened. And later in the episode, we'll also explore the future tense and show you how all three tenses appear naturally in everyday conversations. So stay with us.
Now let's continue our conversation and move into the future tense. We've talked about the present, we've talked about the past, and now it's time to look at the future. The future tense helps us talk about things that haven't happened yet, things that will happen tomorrow, next week, or even next year. Jack, do you remember what you planned for tomorrow?
Yes, I do. I'm going to meet a friend for coffee.
Perfect. That's a great example of the future tense. I am going to meet a friend for coffee. We can also talk about the future using the word will. For example, I will go to the store tomorrow. So listeners, there are two very common ways to talk about the future in English: will and going to. Both are simple, but they are used in slightly different situations. Let's break it down. We usually use going to when we already have a plan, a decision that we made earlier. For example, I am going to watch a movie tonight. That means you already planned it. Maybe you even bought the ticket. But we use will when the decision happens in the moment. For example, I think I will watch a movie tonight. Maybe you just decided while speaking. The difference is small but useful. Let's try a short conversation example. Hey Jack, what are you doing tomorrow?
I'm going to visit my parents.
Nice. I think I will call them too. See the difference? The first action was planned. The second decision happened in the moment. Now let's talk about sentence structure. With will, the structure is simple. Subject plus will plus base verb. For example, I will study English. She will travel to London. They will start the meeting at noon. Very simple. Now let's look at the structure with going to. Subject plus am is are plus going to plus base verb. For example, I am going to cook dinner tonight. They are going to play football tomorrow. She is going to start a new job next week. Now let's talk about negative sentences. With will, we usually say will not or the contraction won't. For example, I will not forget your advice, or I won't forget your advice. Both are correct, but contractions sound more natural in everyday conversation. Now with going to, we place not after the verb be. For example, I am not going to watch TV tonight. They are not going to come to the party. Now let's talk about questions. Questions help conversations move forward. To make a question with will, we place will at the beginning. For example, will you help me tomorrow? Will she call us later? Will they arrive on time? Now let's make questions using going to. We invert the verb be. For example, are you going to travel next week? Is he going to join the meeting? Are they going to watch the game tonight? Now let's imagine a small real-life conversation using the future tense. Hey, do you have any plans for tomorrow?
Yes, I'm going to visit my grandparents.
That sounds nice. I think I will clean my room and study English.
Good idea. After that, maybe I will watch a movie.
Notice how naturally we mix going to and will. This is exactly how people speak in real life. Now let's give our listeners a small challenge. Think about tomorrow. Try to say 5 sentences about your plans. For example, I am going to wake up early. I will call my friend. I am going to cook dinner. I will read a book. Say them out loud. Don't just think about them. Confidence grows through speaking. Now let's talk about something very interesting. In real-life conversations, we rarely stay in only one tense. We often mix present, past, and future naturally. For example, imagine telling someone about your day. I wake up at 7 a.m., present tense. Yesterday, I woke up late, past tense. Tomorrow, I will wake up early again, future tense. See how naturally the tenses change? That's how real conversations work. Let's imagine a conversation about the weekend. How was your weekend?
It was great. I watched a movie on Saturday and went for a walk on Sunday.
That sounds relaxing. What do you usually do on weekends?
I usually read, relax, and sometimes cook.
Nice. What are you doing next weekend?
I'm going to meet my cousins and visit the park.
See? Past, present, future, all in one conversation, and that's completely normal. Before we finish today's episode, let's quickly review. Simple present is used for daily habits and general facts. Simple past is used for finished actions. Simple future is used for plans, decisions, and predictions. If you practice using these 3 tenses regularly, your English will sound much more natural. And remember something very important. Mistakes are part of learning. Every English speaker made mistakes when they were learning. Practice, speak, listen, repeat. Those are the keys to improvement. Now let's give you a few simple exercises you can try today. Exercise 1. Write 5 sentences about yesterday using the past tense. Exercise 2. Write 5 sentences about your daily routine using the present tense. Exercise 3. Write 5 sentences about your plans for tomorrow using the future tense. Exercise 4. Try to mix all 3 tenses into a short story. And exercise 5. Say everything out loud. If possible, record your voice and listen to it. This helps you notice your pronunciation and sentence structure. Before we wrap up, here's one small tip. Try thinking in English during your day. For example, when you wake up, think, I am brushing my teeth. I am making breakfast. I am leaving the house. This simple habit trains your brain to think in English naturally, and over time, speaking becomes easier and faster. Finally, remember that short, clear sentences are better than complicated ones. For example, I went to the park yesterday. I eat breakfast every morning. I will visit my friend tomorrow. Simple, clear, natural. We hope today's episode helped you understand English tenses better. And more importantly, we hope it gave you the confidence to start speaking more. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Everyday English Practice podcast. And if you'd like, write a short story using present, past, and future tenses and share it with us. We love seeing our listeners practice. Keep learning, keep practicing, and remember, every sentence you speak brings you one step closer to fluency. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye!